Hey everyone, thanks for showing interest in our very first Religion for Breakfast study tour. It will be from May 25th to May 31st, and we'll be visiting a cluster of archaeological sites in Western Turkey. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the full itinerary and go through a few of the details. I've partnered with Sacred Space Tours, which is a tour agency that I learned about through my friend and colleague Dr. Dan McClellan. You might have seen him on TikTok or YouTube. They have a ton of experience running tours in this part of the world, and we've designed a top-tier itinerary for you all. So the cost of the whole package is $3,150. That price does not include airfare, but it does include 6 nights at a 4-star hotel in the city of Izmir. It also covers breakfasts and dinner every day, transportation to and from the airport, as well as transportation to all of the sites and entry fees into the sites. Lunch every day will be your responsibility, but all of these sites have restaurants around the actual archaeological site, so we'll give recommendations and we will try to eat as a group. If you have specific questions about the hotel or transportations, you can direct them to info@sacredspacetours.com. Now, I've designed this itinerary around a study tour I did back for my PhD program. It was a class that I took for credit. I had exams I needed to do, I had papers I had to do, but the classroom was Western Turkey, which was amazing, and the experience has stuck with me, and I'm very excited to share that experience with all of you. We'll be based out of Izmir, which is the 3rd largest city in Turkey, so we'll start and end every day here, but Izmir is an amazing city in and of itself, and we will have some time throughout the week to explore the city, which I highly recommend. Day 1, everyone will arrive on May 25th. We'll provide transportation from the airport, and the first day will be just a meet and greet as we get ready for the week. Day 2 is our Ephesus day. It's an hour drive south to the site. It's truly a huge site, so we'll spend half the day seeing Ephesus itself. Now, here I should mention that several of these sites are somewhat strenuous. I wouldn't call them difficult hikes per se, but for example, the main street of Ephesus is inclined with smooth marble pavers. So if you have mobility issues, these are not the most accessible sites. I will say I visited most of these sites with my mom, who had recently had a knee replacement. She had a little bit of difficulty, but she was able to get around the site with a little bit of help from me, but just something to keep in mind. Highlights in Ephesus include the stadium and the Library of Celsus, but a hidden gem is the so-called terrace houses, which are very fancy houses where the rich and famous of Ephesus used to live. They're all protected in this enclosure where you can see beautifully preserved paintings. Like, these are Roman era paintings, which is just amazing. Ephesus is located in the modern town of Selçuk, and there are other sites around town. So we'll visit the site of the Temple of Artemis, which there's really not much to see here, which is really unfortunate, but I do think it's still worth visiting. I'll walk you through what happened to the site over the years. We'll also visit the Basilica of St. John, which for me, as someone who studies late Roman Christianity, this is my favorite site. It's massive, and you can really get a sense of how Ephesus later became a hub of early Christianity. And of course, there's also the Ephesus Archaeological Museum. It's a small but mighty museum where you can see the 2 cult images of Artemis. Really worth visiting. Day 3, we'll be visiting 3 sites: Priene, Miletus, and Didyma. Priene is the first stop. It's about an hour and a half south of Izmir. I love this site because you can really get a sense of what a small ancient city was like. The streets are fairly well preserved, so you can walk through the residential district and see the ruins of apartments on both sides of the street. You can see the channel in the street where sewage used to run, which I think is it gives you a sense of how it might have smelled back then. The highlight here is the remains of a synagogue. Only the foundation walls remain, but it's placed in the middle of the residential district. It's a house that's been converted into a synagogue, so it gives you a glimpse into the urban fabric of religious life in Priene, a well-integrated Jewish community participating in the broader civic life. We'll then drive another 30 minutes or so south to Miletus, which is mentioned in the book of Acts. The Apostle Paul spent a few days here. The main site here is an amazing Roman-era theater, which is impressive in and of itself, but you can also get a sense of ancient religious life because of the inscriptions on the theater. There are inscriptions on the seats that tell us about local guilds and religious communities in town that I'll walk you through. There's also a literal magical incantation inscribed on one side of the theater that calls upon the archangels to defend the city of Miletus. This is probably my favorite inscription ever. As someone who wrote his dissertation about inscriptions, this is saying a lot. We'll then drive a few minutes over to the Temple of Apollo at Didyma. This was one of the most important oracular shrines in the ancient world, second only to Delphi. This was a place where oracles from Apollo would be pronounced. In my opinion, it's an important site to visit because it's in much better shape than the Temple of Artemis. So you can get a much better sense of what an ancient Greek temple looked like and how it functioned during the Roman period. Now, day 4 is Laodicea and Pamukkale. Laodicea is the so-called lukewarm church that is neither hot nor cold, according to the book of Revelation. It's a sprawling site. It has an impressive theater, an aqueduct system, a colonnaded street. My favorite part is a Christian basilica here, which points to its importance in early Christian history. That afternoon, we'll drive to Pamukkale, which is nearby, and the ancient city of Hierapolis. Pamukkale means cotton castle in Turkish, and you've probably seen pictures of this, maybe on Instagram or something. These are white travertine terraces, which are formed by mineral-rich thermal waters cascading down the hillside. Above this, though, lies the ancient city of Hierapolis, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It was a prominent spa city in Roman times, and there's actually a modern-day spa where you can swim around with ruins under the water, which is actually really cool. We'll explore the theater, the necropolis, and the Plutonion, which is a mysterious sanctuary dedicated to Pluto. Day 5 will be visiting the ancient city of Sardis. It has a claim to fame, or infamy, I guess, in the book of Revelation, where it's accused of being the church that had fallen asleep. The main attraction here is the Synagogue of Sardis, which is the largest and most significant ever discovered from antiquity. It's beautiful. Marble floors, intricate mosaics. It really speaks to the existence of a thriving Jewish community in Sardis. Just steps away, you'll find the impressive remains of the gymnasium with its grand courtyard and a Roman-era bath complex, and nearby is a temple of Artemis where we can see further evidence of the far-reaching worship of Artemis in this region outside of Ephesus. After Sardis, we'll drive back to Izmir and visit the ruins of Smyrna in downtown Izmir, and we'll have some time to explore the city as well. Like I said, Izmir is an amazing city, so this is a great time to have some downtime in the city. Day 6 is our Pergamon day. Pergamon was one of the most wealthy and influential cities of Hellenistic Asia Minor. The entire city is on a super tall acropolis jutting up out of the plain, and at the foot of the acropolis is my favorite site here, the so-called Red Basilica, which many scholars think was a temple dedicated to the Egyptian gods, perhaps just Serapis. Day 7 is our travel day. We'll have breakfast at the hotel and transfer you to the airport, and we'll go our separate ways. So my hope over the course of this tour is that you'll get a sense of the religious diversity of the late Roman Empire. So after Constantine, we think about the Roman Empire as a rapidly Christianizing empire, and that's certainly true. But, the traditional Greco-Roman religions didn't just disappear over time. There were very large Jewish communities as well. So we'll see synagogues, we'll see temples, we'll see churches, and you'll get a real sense of how interconnected these different traditions were and how ancient people navigated their religious landscapes and how these sites shaped the development of Judaism, Christianity, and the traditional Greco-Roman religions. Plus, you'll be doing all this while eating amazing Turkish food, hanging out with a great group of people, and learning a ton about ancient history. So I hope to see you in Turkey. If you'd like to register, go to religionforbreakfast.com, and I hope to see you there.